Welcome to the channel where we teach you sales really is easy and we take you from being powerful to unstoppable. My name's Devon Gall. I'm your friend and mentor in business marketing and sales. What we're going to talk about today is the path to leadership, how to be a leader in your business, how to be a leader on your sales team, and how to move up into possibly a management position or even higher, or how to run your business from a higher mindset and perspective, and how to lead people. But let me ask you this before we get started. Is this something you really want to do? Because I'm going to warn you, you get paid more because there's a lot more to do. And I'm not talking about having to learn the administrative stuff. You're going to have to learn that. You're going to have to learn all the little extra details of running a team and doing the back end type of stuff. But more importantly, it's going to be a daily thing where you're not only going to deal with your own attitude and babysit your own bullshit, you're going to have to deal with your entire team's attitude. You're going to have to babysit all of their situations. And you're going to have to be the solution. You're going to have to provide a solution, a clear solution where they can get out and get back to a productive stance, ideally. So let's get into it. This is the path to leadership. First, you got to be above average. You don't have to be the best sales rep. Sometimes the best sales rep really isn't the best person to be promoted or move on to that next level. It's nice to find that perfect combination of a stellar top 10% sales rep and also a great leader, but it's not a requirement. But you do have to be above average, because when you are training new hires, when you're training new people that come on your team and you're training them to do what you do, if you're not above average, you're duplicating yourself. And that new person, they might exceed you over time, but that's about 20% of those people. The 1 in 5 people are going to really take to it and get really good at it. But realistically, everybody you're training is only going to be able to do about 70 or 80% of what you're currently doing. So you need to be above average so you can produce a team that's consistently hitting across the board. You have to ask yourself, if there were 20 versions of me out there doing what needs to be done, is that a good team? Willingness to do whatever it takes. You're the problem solver now. You're the one that provides the solutions. The extra mile mindset, more is expected of you. Okay, not only, you probably got to still keep doing sales, but you also got to train other people how to do it too. And that means you have to maybe show up a little bit early and stay a little bit late. And then also you're going to be doing this with a lot of people and they're not going to work out, and you can't lose your attitude. So you got to keep doing that and keep putting in the reps and keep putting in the extra hours and the extra days to build this stellar team, to become a true leader. You got to do the right thing when no one's watching. Be the example. Spread positivity. Because you're going to spread whatever attitude you have. So if you're negative or you're maybe just neutral, that's not going to be a great atmosphere that you're creating in your business. You need to have positivity, because what your attitude is completely contagious. You're the leader. You set the atmosphere. You set the temperature. You're the thermometer, right? So you got to be positive. That doesn't mean rah, rah, rah all the time. That's not what I'm talking about. But I mean like a can do, never quit, never give up, bloodthirsty type attitude. Being a servant leader, meaning be willing to have your people's back, be willing to just give them the benefit of the doubt. And remember, the best way to hit your goals is to help raise up everybody else around you. So if you can raise the people on your team up higher and higher, you can take the above average people to stellar people. You can take the average people to above average, and you can take the lower performers and ideally bring them up to an average. The whole, a rising tide raises all ships, right? So if you can get that, you don't want to spend too much time on those low performers if they're not investing back. But if you're able to bring up all the members, or at least a portion of the members on your team, because realistically, if you've been in leadership, you already know you're not going to be able to bring up every single person. There's going to be people that just aren't, they're going to be D players. They're not invested, right? So you don't want to spend time and waste time on those people. But you have to be a servant leader and give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them everything. Give them 100%. You'll identify quickly if they're not willing to give 100% back. Mastery. These are the things you need to get so good at to be considered to be moving up in your company. Now I'm going to just break it down to you, okay? I was lucky enough, I started at an entry-level position. I was able to work up in a private company, work my way up to management, take over my own territory based on, what I did, which is great. And realistically, only about 5% of people ever pulled that off in that company. There's a lot of companies that provide a lot of opportunity to move up. And if you do the right thing, and you push and you make yourself invaluable. But just because you're invaluable doesn't mean you're not replaceable. And the same people that are making the rules and saying you can't play favorites are playing favorites. I've seen it in public companies and I've seen it in private companies. So sometimes the best way to move to get promoted is to jump ship. It's sad reality out there. You can do everything perfect. You can be the best candidate, and you're not getting picked. Could be through some fault of your own too. Could be because you're just maybe you rubbed somebody the wrong way. But the people that hold the levers of power, they're not always going to give you that chance, even if you are the right candidate for it. So you got to be aware. You want to take as much as you can from a company. But if they're not willing to recognize, your greatness, then you need to maybe consider your other options. If you're getting value out of any of these videos, make sure to check out the sales course below. You don't need it, but it can help you get to that next level. I've trained multiple people. I've trained hundreds of people over the last decade of being in sales and marketing and working with different businesses, selling multiple products and services. And I have multiple success stories. I took a 22-year-old who was in the business under a different manager for about 6 or 7 months that wasn't really doing anything. Now he's the manager of half the state where we're at right now. And he is the #1 manager of the entire region, right? And he's only 24 now. So he worked with me for about 2 years. I took another kid who was 18, dropped out of high school to play hockey. Now he just told me yesterday that he's going to earn $35,000 in commission this month when the check drops. I'm gonna get a picture of the W-2, cross out all of his information, and post that in one of my future videos. I have another great kid. He never did sales before. What he did was he was driving Uber Eats, and he came and started working for me. He started making 6 figures, right? Oh, and he came out of the gates hot. And all of these success stories, I have more, but all of these success stories, it all boils down to I taught them the same thing. I taught each one of them the exact same thing, robotically. And that's what this sales course down below, check out the link, that's what I taught them. That's it. It's the same thing I was taught. I just put it all together into a system where you can just follow it step by step, the same thing I've been doing, and showing other people how to go from never doing sales before, just like somebody showed me when I started in sales and marketing, I'd never done sales before. So I could be charging a lot more for this system because it works. And if you're a up and coming salesperson, you want to make more money than you're making right now, invest in yourself. If you're a sales manager and you want to run one of the best teams, that 22-year-old kid that's 24 now, that's running the #1 team, he just uses the system that I taught him. That's it. He doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's not the system that corporate taught him. I can tell you that right now, because corporate doesn't have a very good system, and I was at that company for 7-8 years, and they had a different system every single year because they had different leadership every single year. So a lot of these companies you work for, they don't really have the best training all the time. Some of these managers, they might be great people that you're working for, but they don't have the best training, they don't have the best blueprint, they don't have the best system. All right, so, and the beauty of my system is that it's simplistic. It's not all this super long, gigantic book of extra technical terms. It's all these things that make you feel like stupid, and how am I going to memorize all this gigantic book of all these crazy like philosophies and terms? It's simplistic. It's a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here on the channel, but I got it down into a system where you can just follow it exactly like it's been trained, and I've trained it for the last decade with great success. So check it out. The sales course is below. So mastery. Like I said in the beginning, attitude. You got to have your own attitude in check, because now you got to put up with all your other team's attitude problems. They got all these external factors that are going on in their life. They got all these things that are happening, and they don't know how to deal with it because they're new. They're still learning how to master their attitude. So now you're the person that has to come in there and say, hey, no, you can fix this, or we can just burn this, leave it at the door, focus on what matters right now, which is making money, making commission, so we can take care of these issues down the road. Fundamentals, this is showing up on time. This is your 8 steps to success. These are, treating everybody with professionalism and respect and all these kind of things. Setting goals. Remember, all these things that you're mastering, you're going to be teaching other people how to do this too. So if you want your team to be successful and a killer, and like you, then you need to have all these things dialed in so you can show other people how to do it. So you got to be able to set goals, and not just like, I'm going to make 5 sales this month. Okay, you got to have a vision. You got to have bigger goals than that. And you got to think, maybe you don't have to think like 15 years down the road. It's helpful to, do a 20-year vision, but really, a lot of the best salespeople out there, they're thinking the next 3 months, 4 months ahead, because the markets change, things change so far. You can't see that far in the future, but you can make a lot of explosive growth in the next 3 to 4 months. So you can plan that out step by step of how to get there every quarter. I like to do it. You got to master self-accountability, right? You have to master sales itself. Now again, being a master of sales doesn't mean you're the #1 rep in the entire country. Doesn't mean you're the #1 rep in the office all the time. Doesn't mean you are above average. It does mean that you are in the top 20%. You are in the top 25% consistently, not one time. Not just, oh, I did it last August one time. You have to learn some of this, the back end stuff, the administrative things, the boring stuff, right? The systems. Master work ethic. This is a huge one. This is for me. I feel like the reason I moved up is this and indifference. But I grew up on a farm, so like I woke up at 5 o'clock to feed chickens and cattle and stuff. Like the work ethic thing was just kind of like just something I was born into, right? It wasn't like really an option for me. Discipline, meaning it's the end of the day, there's only an hour left, you've had a terrible outcome so far, you've been pushing, you've done all the right things. Now do you give up or do you keep going? Do you keep pushing, or do you just say, call it quits? Your image is on point. Remember, image is everything, because people are prejudging you. People are making snap decisions about who you are and what you're all about based on your image. So you got your image dialed in. You're consistent. Okay? Consistency can mean a couple different things, but you have to be consistently above average. However you get there, that's how you get there, but you have to be consistently above average. And I'm not talking about just like 1 or 2% above average, right? You gotta be like in that higher realm. And the reason is that you're, and we're going to get to duplicating yourself, but, and I've talked about this already, but you're creating duplicates of yourself when you're a leader, when you're a manager, or whatever, maybe you're a director. Everything you're teaching, everything you're showing, this is getting spread out to your teams. So whatever you set the example as, that's what your teams are going to be doing. The systems, whatever those systems may be, some of the back-end systems, some of the administrative systems, but also like the sales training systems, the systems of like, with me is the attitude systems, the sales system itself, the pitch system, the presentation system, understanding all these different little things, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. And if there's something that's working already, just use what's working. Duplicating yourself. If there's 20 of you, is this a good team? Is this a good business? Is this something that's profitable? Is this something that's going to take off? Training that goes into the systems mastery is training mastery. But now there's another layer to this now, because you're working with somebody, you're communicating with another human, right? You're teaching them how to do what you're doing, ideally, and then you're also like learning who they are and making yourself like a likable, where they want to listen to you and they want to look up to you, and they love your energy, and all these other things that go into training and creating new top producers. Your master student, right? This goes into the entrepreneur mindset. A lot of this stuff does. But okay, great. You're promotion worthy. Great. You're going to be a leader in your business. Great. You're going to run an awesome business. You're going to build a tremendous team. You still don't know everything. There's still more to learn. And the more you can learn, the more you can set yourself apart from everybody else. And the more you can get accomplished in a smaller amount of time, in a shorter window of time. You're the master at problem solving. You're the solutions only person. Professionalism. You know, how you are interacting. Because remember, you're setting the example for everybody else is going to be following what you're doing. So if you're a little too loose and you start, maybe like dropping F-bombs or something, then guess what? The other people are going to say, hey, that's okay. That's okay to do here, right? Communication. How do you communicate with your customers? How do you communicate with the other departments? How do you communicate with the other management? How do you communicate with the senior leadership? How do you communicate with the people, your business partners, the people that are working with you, working for you? Master of resilience. You have to show them you got a thick skin. Because if you are able to get flustered quickly and easily, then again, they're going to see that. Your people are going to see that and say, okay, this is how you deal with external circumstances. This is because I'm new to this. I'm new to sales. I don't know. I'm just trying to be like the boss. And if the boss has all these issues, then I guess that's how you deal with them, right? So you have to have major mastery, resilience of when, external situations, S-storms start popping up. And mastery of understanding and empathy. Obviously, you're already a master at this because you're doing sales, and that's why you're great at empathy. You're great at sales, but this is another layer of empathy, and it goes deeper, okay? Because you're going to have to deal with your people and what they're going through, and you're also going to have to deal with some bad actors that you end up hiring who are going to give you sob story after sob story to I've seen it way too much with the hundreds of people I've worked with. For every superstar that you have is you're going to have some not superstar also on your team that whatever they're going through, they're going to have this situation, this excuse why they're late, this is why they couldn't show up to work this day, they stubbed their toe last night, they can't come in, who knows. There's a lot crazier stories obviously, but your best move that I found, at least for me, is just give them the benefit of the doubt, be like, oh, okay, well, feel better. And it'll work itself out, okay? If you don't want to sit there, in my opinion, and chase them down and say, send me a picture of your stub toe and all these kind of things. It's not going to be it's going to give you too much stress. So just like, let it be, give them the benefit of the doubt. You're doing sales, you're doing marketing, so there's performance metrics. They will work themselves out of a job because it's really not worth you stressing over. It's not worth you putting all that effort in because they're not going to be putting in that effort either. So don't worry about them. Focus on the person that's doing above average. Bring them up to a superstar, right? But you have to have some understanding and empathy because sometimes things really do go wrong in people's lives. And you can't just be that manager that's like, well, you've already used up all your sick days. You cannot take another one just because your grandma's dying or something. Like, have some empathy and just give people the benefit of the doubt. So those are my tips for leadership, and appreciate you coming down. Have a great one.